Hi, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be our end of May garden video. We're going to do some planting and I'm going to show you the progress and how much everything in the garden has been growing. So I have already been working out here for most of the day and we're kind of coming to the end of the day. We've been doing a lot of work outside and the boys have been off taking care of their kind of chores, and I've been doing gardening to try to get caught up because the weather, sometimes you get like a week straight of really bad rainy, windy, stormy weather, and then you get a break with some nice weather. And so trying to get the plant starts out and acclimated to the outdoors and get them planted, you got to be really strategic and sometimes work pretty quickly. So I got the chance today with some nice sunny weather and I believe it's in the low 60s today. So perfect day to get out and do some gardening. I got a whole row of Yukon Gold potatoes planted today, so I can check that off of the to-do list. That was a little bit of a backbreaker, but I was able to do that all by myself. And I went ahead and planted the jalapeno starts that I grew inside. So I've got those. I forget how many there is, but I will show you guys those. And we're going to go ahead and just plant as much as we can before we have to go in and make dinner because it is getting close to that time too. So I'm going to go ahead and I think do the green peppers next, and then I've got celery, strawberries, loofah, what else? I can't remember, but we've got several things that we got to get out here, and I also need to start some seeds yet. I wanted to just go ahead and direct sow my cucumbers this year. I do usually start them inside, even though I think some people don't recommend it, but I always have started my cucumbers inside. But this year I thought I'm just going to direct sow some. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go grab my green peppers and we're going to go ahead and get those planted first. All right, you guys, so here are the green pepper starts that we started inside, and they are ready to go out into the garden. So they are not humongous, but I think they're the perfect size to transplant into the garden. And this size pot is really handy, really easy to go ahead and transfer from the pot to the garden. You don't have to, have a humongous hole, which I really like, but these look really healthy and happy and ready to go out. So they've been outside all day getting ready, and they look happy about it. So I'm going to go ahead and put them right here in the third row behind the onions. But I have not had a chance to put cardboard at the end of this row yet. I have got about a little over half of the garden done on this end with the wood chips and the cardboard. But this row is not finished, so it is full of weeds, really bad. So before I can put these in, I'm gonna go ahead and weed the end of this row first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get these in. And if you guys are hearing all that banging and clanging in the background, don't worry. The boys are over there taking the chicken coop apart so that we can move it over to that place on the other side of the yard that we talked about in a previous video. So they are hard at work over there making lots of noise, but we're gonna go ahead and get these green peppers planted. All right, we made quick work of that. I have my daughter helping me, so that went really quick and it's super easy. And if you guys like thrifting and antiquing and buying things secondhand, make sure that you check out her channel. It is called Taylor Thrift, and I will leave a link below for you guys if you want to check it out. But next, I think we are going to go ahead and do the celery. So we'll go ahead and get the celery in, and that is going to be back one row behind the tomatoes. So I will go and grab those and we'll get to it. All right, so here are the celery starts that I have. This one is really big, although it's got a few pieces eaten. So I first started these well ahead of time. And this one was the only one that came up out of the whole bunch. And so it is much larger than these because I replanted and then they all came up the second time. So I'm guessing that I just planted the seeds too deep, or perhaps when I watered them they got too deep or something like that, but that's probably about what happened. But they came up, so now these ones are just a little bit behind this one. And then day one, when I started to bring them outside to get used to the sun and the wind and all of that, this one got eaten the first day within like 2 hours of being outside. A little bunny rabbit came and ate those off because I just put them out just outside of our garage in our driveway on the cement. And yeah, so that one's got a few things eaten, but all in all, it looks super healthy, super happy. So they look great. This is my first time ever growing celery. So if you guys have any tips for growing celery or tricks that you have for growing celery, please share those below in the comments. I would love to read those, and I'm sure that all of the others would love to share in that as well. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get these planted into the garden. All right, so we got the celery all planted and it looks great. The bigger one that I said I did before the other ones, I actually up-potted that. If you noticed, the pot was bigger. I up-potted that once and it seemed to be doing great, but when I pulled it out of the pot, it was super root bound. So I did kind of try to break it up like you would say like a house plant or whatever. And then when I put it into the ground, so hopefully it's able to spread out and be super happy out here. But those look great, and I put them here because the tomatoes are here. I'm gonna have green beans here, and then there's gonna be sweet corn behind. And whenever I am deciding the layout of the garden, like where I want to plant each thing in each row, in the winter months is when I spend my time really planning every single thing and mapping it out. I draw out the garden with all of the rows, and I really take the time to consider what is going next to what. So I kind of look at what plants are good companion planting with others, what don't you want to put next to other things, and that kind of thing. Even though my rows, you know, they are going to be about 3 foot apart from one another as far as the rows go. But I just figured as far as things like pests that they may share and things like that, diseases that they could share to one another, I want to try to just make it as good as I possibly can. So I thought that the celery was going to do really good by the tomatoes and the corn and that kind of thing. So that's why it ended up back here. So it looks really good. I'm really satisfied with it, but I wanted to show you guys real quick right here is our little friend, wild lettuce. So for the past few years, I've been really wanting to harvest a significant amount of wild lettuce. We have a huge patch, last year at least, we had a huge patch of wild lettuce growing in our front pasture, and we don't have animals in there right now. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna let this grow up nice, and I'm gonna harvest tons of wild lettuce. And that didn't turn out because I'm not sure if it was rabbits or deer, not real sure, but some animals really love their wild lettuce and they would just eat it every day. I would come out and see it. It was more and more gone, and eventually it was just completely eaten down. And so I never actually got to harvest any last year. And the year before, I didn't find any until it was too late. It was kind of past season and not looking real fresh and real nice. So this year, magically, there was like four wild lettuce plants just happened to plant themselves right here in the garden of all places. So I accidentally pulled one before I realized, oh my goodness, this is wild lettuce. So I did replant it back there just in case, but I'm not sure if it's still alive. But I left these other three in the garden so that I could harvest the wild lettuce from them for my apothecary. So just so you know, they're not in the rows. They're kind of in the walkways actually, but they're just going to stay here for a while and I am going to harvest them later on. So if you see those out of place, that would be why. Alrighty, so next is going to be the tomatoes. I don't know why this excites me so much to be able to put in the tomatoes already. Usually I don't plant something like the tomatoes or the peppers out until probably at least May 31st, maybe even like the first full weekend of June. But it's warm now, and when I look at the weather app, and of course they are never wrong, or they're never right, you know, one of the two. But it looks like it should be 50 degrees or more. And these have been outside all day and it's pretty cool out. I've also have these in the garage for 2 or 3 weeks. They've been out in the garage in my grow lights. So they are pretty well used to being a little bit cooler, and it's not going to be anywhere near freezing, I don't believe. So I'm going to go ahead and put these out, which is very exciting. And these are looking great. These are really big. I usually don't actually grow my tomato starts this big before I plant them. So this is really exciting, especially if you guys followed my videos last year. My tomato plants were horrible last year, you guys. If you remember, or go back and watch my troubles with my plant starts. My plants, I had a problem with disease last year in my starts, and then those plants were sickly when I planted them into the garden, and the roly-polies really knew it, and they tried to take care of it for me by eating them all. And so I really struggled last year. My tomato starts were about this big last year, like tiny little starts. They were stunted, they were unhealthy, and a lot of them didn't survive. And so I planted direct from seed, sowed them directly into the garden, and I did get a lovely harvest of tomatoes last year, but again, it was stalled and it could have been way better. So this year is like, I can't even believe it. It's so much better than last year. So really looking forward to this. These are a full tray of Amish paste, and my daughter has got about a half a tray of Bonnie's Best, and we've got the other half is calendula flowers that we're going to plant at the end of each row, as many as we can. And then we'll have to run over there and get the rest, which is brandywine. So my sauces, I love making tomato sauce, but I also love making tomato juice. And when I had been using all paste tomatoes, like 2 or 3 different paste varieties, and it makes great sauce, but I wasn't getting nearly as much juice as I wanted for the pantry. So I decided to include some brandywine tomatoes this year because they are known to be a little bit less seedy. But they have a good amount of juice and yet a good amount of meat in them as well. So it just seemed like an all-around great variety to add to making both sauce and juice for canning later this year. So we're going to go ahead and get you guys on a time lapse, and we're going to go ahead and plant these. I will show you, let's go over there. I am planting over here on the row with my trellis. So I'm going to take you over there and give you a kind of a close-up look of what it actually looks like to plant one of these starts into my garden, since I do have a deep layer of wood chips on the majority of it, some deeper than others. The tomato row probably isn't super deep at the moment, but I need to add wood chips there. So let's head on over there and I'll just show you guys kind of a close-up real quick of what it looks like to plant these into a deep wood chip bed in the garden. So this is where we are going to be planting these. So I will just show you. I'll just take this little guy. So like I said, some places are a little bit thicker than others, but this isn't super thick. And I actually tend to cut my plants off in the fall rather than pulling the root balls out. So I do have a lot of roots in here from last year. Like here is one, and I just leave those in there to decompose naturally in the soil. Really, really good for your soil. So if you can do that, you should definitely leave your plant roots in the ground and they will just decompose, feed the soil. It's really, really good for the soil and all of the little buggies in there. So if any of them are in my way, I'll just remove them if I need to. But other than that, so I place my tomatoes between about 12 to 18 inches apart, and I have success with all of those. If you have a more bushy type tomato, like aroma tomato is very short and bushy, those are really hard to plant 12 inches apart. They will grow, you'll have great success, but it's really hard to harvest them because they're just so close. It's hard to prune, and they just don't get enough airflow, and you could definitely get higher chances of getting something, a disease in there. So anyway, so I'm gonna just put mine about 18 inches or so apart, and I guess I'll put my first one right about here. So first I just pull the wood chips back so that I can see dirt, and then I like to find, I have my water lines, which is like a drip irrigation through here just under the wood chips, and so I like to try to plant my little plant close to that water line that's in there. So, and then I just dig a little hole, tiny hole is what I got going on here. And then to get this out of the pot, I typically just turn it, I put it between my fingers and turn it upside down and then squeeze. And you can see there's some roots coming through the bottom of this pot, just a little bit. And that is from bottom watering and stuff. Those roots really reach down to get the water.
Where's that grown? You want me to try it?
And then, so you can see it has a nice root system going on. And then I just plant it in here. So if you want to, you can definitely throw a little bit of your fertilizer down in that hole, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to come through and put some liquid fertilizer on them for now. And then later on, I will add some pellets or granules to the top. So then I got that, and then we just push our wood chips right back up to the base of that plant. Now, if you want to, and some of these I'm going to, tomatoes can be planted really deep, and they'll continue to grow roots all the way up this vine. So you can plant this really deep if you'd like to do that and just get more of a root system going on your plant. This one is almost to the trellis, so that's pretty exciting. And also try to remove those first leaves before you plant them as well. So those are fun. All right. look over there. The chicken coop is gone. Just the floorboards there. So the boys ended up completely chopping it into a million pieces and carrying it over. My husband is burning it. It was all rough cut lumber that we had from a friend whose dad had a sawmill, and he milled all this wood for us, and my husband built it way too solidly. There was so many nails and screws in that thing that he could not get it apart without breaking the wood. So they ended up just deciding that they were going to chop it up into pieces with the Sawzall, and they've been carrying pieces over to the fire pit area, and we are going to be sitting around the fire for a while and just having a good time. So soon, make sure you guys watch out for updates on the chicken coop and where its new location is and all of that. I have a previous video talking about the new chickens that we are getting. So if you missed out and don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go back and watch that video about the chickens. All right, you guys, we got all of the tomatoes planted. I actually have several, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 of my Brandywine tomato starts left. But this year I was only going to do about halfway, a little over halfway for the tomatoes. And then I was going to use the other half for cucumbers, and I was going to plant those from seed, like I had said, because I didn't want to have to buy more cattle panels to make another trellis this year. And I'm using currently the other two little sections of trellis for my peas, like the sweet peas and the sugar snap peas. And so I don't have any trellising left. So I was just going to put them in the same row as the tomatoes, even though that's not really super ideal. You know, they're not really like planted together. They're just in the same row. So I figure it'll be fine for this year, and next year perhaps I will go ahead and just purchase a few more of the cattle panels and T-posts to finish more trellising for the cucumbers, since I am growing so many peas now. Cucumbers really aren't a super necessity right now as far as preserving for canning and stuff. We still have a lot of pickles left in the pantry, so not super big of a problem. I really don't need all that many, but we definitely want to have some to eat fresh all summer long. So yeah, probably tomorrow I'm going to come out and do some direct sowing of some melons of different kinds and the cucumbers. And yes, I have to look at my papers and remember what all the things that I still need to do. This is why I make lists, because yeah, there is so much going on and so much to remember. But I will go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed. We got a whole row of Yukon Gold potatoes planted today, which is so awesome. Such a relief, because I have been really thinking about it a lot, and my seed potatoes have been growing and growing, and some of them got overgrown, but I did have enough that were, you know, small and still really nice. So I'm very excited about the harvest of potatoes this year, like I always am. The onions that I had planted before, you guys, I showed you in my last video what they were looking like. We had some bad weather and really bad storms, and they weren't looking super hot, but we went ahead and planted the rest anyways, and those are looking really good. They are thriving now, and so I'm very excited to see what the onions look like, because this is my first year that I planted them. I started them from seed inside in those 72 cell trays, and so yes, it'll be so gratifying to see onions that I started from seed. That'll be super, super cool. The carrots came up too, you guys. If you've seen my last video about the garden, only a handful of the radishes came up, so not great on those. I can do more of those later, no big deal. We just want to eat them fresh. The carrots came up, which is great. So the lettuce also, I told you guys that the lettuce had like blown away in the wind. I wasn't sure where, if I got them in the ground or not. And I did get a lot in there. So we will be able to get some lettuce here soon. That's probably like this tall. And we got all the tomatoes are planted, so that is so cool, so relieving. What else did I plant today? The green peppers and the jalapeno peppers, and they look beautiful. My starts look so great this year. Very exciting. I can't wait to show you guys as this progresses. So make sure that you like and subscribe and hit your bell so that you don't miss out on any of the garden update videos. I try to do at least once a month update on the garden, but I would love to take you guys on more along with each step. I know that it's really cool to see the progression as everything grows, and even though you might not think that you're helping anybody, I know that just one little word can be something that somebody never heard and never knew before. And so I like to make these videos because I never know what I might say that might be some new piece of information that you've never heard. So it's pretty fun to be able to share our information and everything of that nature. That's really cool. And also it gives you guys an opportunity to go down in those comments and share the information that you have, that you know, with the community, which is really, really fun. So I hope that you guys liked coming along. I love looking back at these videos. Like it's like a journal for me, and I love sharing that with you. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time. This is the end of our garden for May, and we will see you back here again soon. Thank you for joining me, and God bless you.